Hey guys, thanks for watching. Today we are talking about gimbals, if you couldn't tell that already. So I wanted to point out a couple things that of a couple of gimbals that I regularly use, some things I've noticed, some things that I like, some things I don't like, and also some workarounds for some issues that people have typically when using gimbals. So let's do it. I am all about affordability and usability. I'm not that person who's like, well, you have to have the Manfrotto, blah, blah, blah. Manfrotto makes great products, but not everything calls for a Manfrotto. It's just not always needed. So anyway, there's a lot of other companies out there that make really, really great quality products. I mean, I've been a huge fan of DJI for a long time. Their drones are amazing. I have the Inspire 2, I used to use the Phantoms, I have a Mavic 2. But their gimbals were kind of hit and miss. Like the original Ronin was awesome, but it was just so heavy. Ronin M, great. You know, they entered a whole new market no one was really entering. It was a great piece of technology, but then it became dated pretty quickly. And then they started coming out with the single-handled gimbals, which to me aren't very good. Now here's the issue with single-handled gimbals is that you are holding it like this, which means anytime you rotate, your camera's picking up that movement side to side. It's not as steady. So then other companies started coming out with some interesting things, you know, like there's the Zwiin Crane 3S, which had this nice little back handle feature. Which actually is pretty cool. You know, it allows you to kind of move around quite a bit more without having to worry so much about this, because you know this is kind of absorbing a lot of the side to side maybe bobble there. The issue with a lot of the gimbals too though is the fact that you always get that strange little step, you know, anytime you're walking forward. So pretty much any other company right now, most of their gimbals are pretty much just kind of a joke, because the issue that a lot of them have that no one's really fixed yet, except possibly the new Ronin RS2s, is that step. So personally, right now I use the Moza Air 2 as my primary go-to gimbal, and these little funky things I picked up off Amazon. Now what these are, they are basically create a Z-axis. So they got this little spring-loaded contraption here. So it has this little mount that hooks onto the handle here. You slide that in like so, you screw that down, and you put this one down here, and you screw that one down. The annoying thing with this setup is that you have to screw on this handle. And with the Moza, the battery's in here, so that means that if you have to change the batteries, you have to unscrew this whole thing and then take that off and then change your batteries and then put it back on and then screw it back in. So it's kind of exhausting, but it works really well. It helps to minimize, it doesn't fully get rid of that step, but it helps minimize it as much as possible. And then of course, you know, with Premiere's warp stabilizer, it smooths that out pretty nicely. And as well as any, you know, in-body camera or lens stabilization helps to take that out. So what this does is it allows you to use your gimbal, and you see that? So this little bounce, these springs help absorb your walk. As well as a nice thing, it gives you security from side to side, so there's less side to side wobble there. And Moza makes actually really nice products. They were one of the primary competitors with DJI. When DJI was coming out with the Ronin M, Moza came out with their similar gimbal. DJI came out with the Ronin M, Moza came out with the Air and the Air 2, and they've basically been in competition with each other. Moza does have a new Air Cross 2, which they're actually sending me to test out, so I'll be making a video about that. And that's supposed to be in competition with the Ronin RC2, the more compact version of their single-handled Ronin gimbal there. So the reason I primarily use the Ronin Air 2 versus like the Ronin S is literally only like half a pound lighter than the Ronin M, the 2-handle setup. So to hold that thing like this for an hour, 2 hours running around shooting, everyone who's ever used one knows it's exhausting. That thing was way too heavy. So Moza came out with the Air 2, which is actually about a pound lighter than the Ronin S, but it also has up to a 12-hour battery life, so significantly longer than the Ronin S. And then also it can hold up to 9.25 pounds, supposedly. Well, it did pretty well. I used my C300 Mark II, mounted on it. The issue though is I didn't have enough back clearance with the battery to actually really balance it properly, but it did hold it actually pretty well. So the Moza Air 2 definitely had a lot more value, and I actually made a video a year or so ago regarding comparing the Moza Air 2 versus the Zwin Crane M, that funky little, their single handle one, which was just ginormous, as well as the Ronin M, and kind of the stabilizer effect and how each one kind of performs. So you can actually look through my feed and take a look at that video there. So the Moza Air 2 still has a lot of value. That still provides a lot of competition for a lot of these other gimbals out there. For instance, you have rods you can put onto the front, so you can put your follow focus, which you can also control with the little wheel here. It pretty much auto-tunes itself most of the time. I've never really had any issues outside of like a faulty battery with it just shutting off or going haywire or starting to act crazy or anything like that. It's worked really, really well. And the other thing that I did too, so Moza is pretty cool because what they did, instead of having one plate that sits here, they have this slider plate which sits in there, but on top of that slider plate is the other plate which can be removed. And this can actually hook on straight to your camera. So what that allows is that, all right, if you've got your camera on here and you've already balanced everything, but now you need to change a battery or whatever else, you can honestly just take that off, put your camera back on, slide it back in, and it's still in the exact same spot it was before. And what I did is I took a step further, is I actually got a little RC2 adapter plate, screw that onto that plate, which allows me to not even have to move anything or adjust anything or slide anything. All I have to do is just pull that back, take my camera off. When I'm swapped the battery or done any of the other adjustments I do, I can click it right back in and I'm good to go. Nothing has been adjusted or moved or anything else. So I don't have to worry about constantly rebalancing it every time I change the battery or if I take the camera off or anything else. If I'm moving the camera to a tripod or back to the gimbal, it'll always stay balanced because I have everything preset right here. So that's just a quick little idea. And even if you're using any other gimbal, you can just get these little RC2 plates. Makes it super easy and way more effective than trying to like change out everything and then having to rebalance everything. And that just allows you to click and unclick. All that quick release is amazing. Now the Crane 3 is actually a pretty cool system. It works really well. It works well. The issues I've had with this is that I primarily bought this to use with the C300 Mark II because nothing else would really hold it because of the size of it. But the issue with the Crane 3 is that in order to get it to hold a cinema camera, you have to install this extension plate here. But the issue with the extension plate is that I can't put my other smaller cameras on here because it won't balance. And it looks ridiculous because you have all this ginormous space here. So in order to basically use this with my other cameras, I have to get out the tiny little Allen wrenches, unscrew this whole thing, take off this extension plate, re-screw it back. It just takes too much time. So I primarily kept it set up for the cinema camera. But the issue I've run into, and you can actually find quite a few YouTube videos about it, I wish Zwin would acknowledge this and provide a fix for it because it's extremely frustrating. But at times when you're doing certain moves with your camera, it will start to vibrate. It'll just start shaking, like violently shaking, and it is ridiculous. So I can't really recommend this particular gimbal. Honestly, what I'm probably gonna do is buy the DJI RS2 to try out, see if it holds the cinema camera well, and then probably just sell this or I don't know, give it away or put it on a shelf. I don't know. Anyway, so those are just some quick thoughts. If you've had issues with your Zwin or you figured out how to fix the violent shake, please make a comment. I'd love to hear about it. And if you've used any of the other gimbals that you prefer over these particular ones or any other setups, please make a comment. So anyway, those are a couple of things I just wanted to quickly bring out. The next video is actually going to be the Air Cross 2 from Moza. Like I said, they sent it over to me to try out, so I am definitely going to try that out and see what it can do and see how it compares to even the DJI RS2, which I'll have here pretty soon as well. So thanks for watching. Please subscribe, and we'll catch you later.